Emotional intelligence is defined as the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Now, over the past year, EQ has become less important to companies because of the need to for somebody to fill the seat. Nada, welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show today.
Thank you so much. And you said my full name, Rick. I couldn't believe it.
What did you think I was going to mess it up? I usually mess up everybody's name. I don't know why yours is working, but
I thought you were going to go with just the first, but you did the whole thing.
Totally. All right. Well, I'll just go with Nada from here on out. That works for you. You know, I know this is off topic a little bit, but like EQ and emotional intelligence, they're the same thing, right? Just so we kind of frame a reference.
That's a good question. It is the same thing. So EQ stands for emotional quotient. EI stands for emotional intelligence. That's the same thing. Just one uses quotient, one uses intelligence.
I'm seeing on the hiring front, like everybody's like just in this feeding frenzy trying to hire people really, really fast. And they're not taking into consideration that there's a lot of urgency on the company side, but not so much on the people who are looking for a job side, because this whole great resignation thing that we're experiencing right now is people have been able to evaluate whether or not they align with the companies. And so that's why they're taking their time and they're bouncing, right? What other challenges do you kind of see?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting time right now in the workplace because, as you mentioned, companies they need employees. Like, they are in demand for workers. I mean, how many times have you drove down the freeway and you see like a Burger King that says like somebody's got to flip these burgers, right? So we're experiencing it on all fronts.
Yeah.
And the challenge that's happening is that the employee also knows it, right? They know that they're in demand and that companies need to find workers as fast as possible. And when that happens, unfortunately, and I do think the pendulum is going to swing, right? It always does. But when that happens is, unfortunately, as a company, we can compromise values. We can compromise people that are a good culture fit just because we need to put a butt in the seat basically to do the job. But it really makes an impact on hiring the right fit for your company that is culturally the right fit and that has that emotional and social intelligence. And we revert back to kind of the old way of doing things, which is just like what's on the resume and does the resume check off the points that are needed to do the job technically. And that's a dangerous space to be in right now. And I think we're going to feel the effects of it probably here within the next year.
I've seen it so many times where I've actually seen it on the wall and like, you know, it'll say teamwork, collaboration. And then as you walk through the actual organization, you're not seeing any of that.
Right.
It might be posted on the wall. And I've asked the CEO a couple of times, where did you get these, you know, where did you get these values? And some pull them out of a book. I thought they'd sound graded. So we wanted to build it was more like what they inspire to be rather than who they are.
100%.
But they didn't put anything into action in order for them to be able to implement those values.
Yeah, and that's the critical part, right? It's going from passive to active. So if you do have a list of values, and I highly recommend every company take a look at them again now, because after COVID, a lot has changed, right? So your values might have changed after the pandemic. I mean, the society has shifted. So taking a look at those values, but now activating them, going through every single value and asking yourself first, how is this showing up in the recruiting process? Because if you're not starting there, you're going to bring on team members that don't match your values. And that's going to be a problem. So looking at your values right away and saying, okay, one of our values is service, being service oriented. So what can we do in the recruiting hiring process that can tell me whether or not this team member is service oriented? Okay, so let's say if you're a nonprofit organization, well, I would love to know the person that I'm hiring. Hey, tell me about some philanthropic work or volunteerism work that you've done in the past. What have you done? How'd you do it? Now, if a team member's like, well, I haven't really done much, then it might not be a good fit because they might not be coming from that place, right? So going through those values and activating them right away in the hiring process, looking for emotional intelligence, looking for collaboration, whatever your values are, how do we assess them from the very beginning? And then finding ways to activate them on a continuous basis within your culture. So for example, if one of your values is collaboration, well, do you have a collaborative creative day? maybe once a quarter where your leaders or your team come together and there's like a collaboration, breakout session where there's certain projections and facts that you guys talk about to help grow the company. So like what are these little things that you can do to exercise these values?